Reap the harvest. We're back, moving and grooving, live with Matt Tack. Busy, busy, busy world, folks. Don't wait until New Year's to go after goals. We're going to be right back, chat about it. Matt Tack, Reap the Harvest live. Let's go. Man, I tell you, that groove is funky. Funky fresh.
It's killer. It's killer.
Yeah,
I love it.
You got to start today. If you got goals, make a plan and start today, whatever it is. Incremental steps, they compound, and the mountain of success is always going to be there. It's a climb for sure. There are those instances where people, catch a lucky break. They take some action, they catch a lucky break, and get there faster than others. But for the most part, what we hear success wise is stories of, it's a lot of hard work. So, like you said, don't wait, start today.
Yeah.
Matt's in the zone right now. Matt has been all over the country this year on these shows. Yeah, you're cutting in and out a little bit, but I think it's interesting that like sometimes you've been in this place or that place or the other place running your business and stuff. You don't wait, you don't hesitate, you go after stuff. And that's what I love about this show is that it's not, I'm usually in a central command station, but you tend to be out in the field, in the real estate field, chasing deals, solidifying deals, making relationships. I mean, it's an active business.
Well, I mean, the main thing we're going into next year that we want to start this year. So that's why I say, don't wait until New Year's, right? I put a post out on Facebook. I listened to some podcast.
You all right over there, Maddie? Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Matt's connection today. It is not strong. But yeah, don't wait till New Year's to get those goals, folks. Start today. Don't wait, don't wait, don't wait. You see Matt on the show. Sometimes he's in here sitting at his desk. Sometimes he's out doing this or that. But dude, this guy's chasing all kinds of success constantly. It's the only way to go. I make videos all the time just so I can get better at making videos. I don't wait. I just do it. And with the content I cover now, it's there. I don't know what's going on with him. There he is. Matt's just switching it up. There you are. There's a good reception.
Is it? I mean, I was about to say let's just end this one and then we'll get back. You can get my
you're fine. But that's what we were saying is this is all part of the process too. I mean, if you're not taking action, you're not figuring out what works. You sit here and try and make it perfect. I try and make stuff look perfect on social media all the time. Doesn't always work. But yeah, don't wait till New Year's, folks. Go after the goals now. We had to move this to Wednesday. We normally do this on Mondays, but people are busy. It's the end of the year. We're gearing up for 2021. I was just talking to my wife. We had plans for going home for Christmas. This is the day we're going to do it. This is the day we're going to come back. And now it's like, oh, well, we want to move this and move that. And I'm like, dude, I got meetings, set up meetings the whole week. I'm ready to focus on closing strong in December, starting strong in January. And I think that's where people get hung up. They get hung up in this whole holiday hoopla of, let's pause life and celebrate. And it's like, That's fine. There's nothing wrong with celebrating and taking breaks and stuff. But what I found is when I leave openings for myself to slide, or I leave openings for myself to lose accountability, I always do.
Yeah, we call this separation season. What's going to create that separation, right? I love that term, because don't think you're competing against anybody else but yourself. But like, how are you going to create the best version of yourself? I was just, this year has been. I started last November, I believe. But like the 2020 report came out for actually my Spanish, right? Of all things, like I'm trying to accrue just knowledge in a different language so that I can be a little bit more versatile, right?
Right.
And that's a long-term game, because I'm not going to be fluent overnight. I'm not even going to be fluent in a year. And what do I got to do? And so the report came out, and I was like, man, that's awesome. I went through a full year of every day consistently. And I was on Duolingo. I was in the top 1% of everybody that uses Duolingo. I was in the top 1%. Learned or became familiar with over 7,000 different Spanish words, right? So it's those things that create consistency. Consistency always compounds. No one ever said that, like, even if you're some overnight success, they started somewhere to create an opportunity for themselves. So it's never like,
that's always important to remember. That's always important to remember. They had to create something that got noticed. They didn't just magically get successful. They created something that was good, of substance, that got picked up by somebody that could hook them up. They had to take action. So this whole like, they magically, like you hear this a lot with like bands and stuff, where they'll come out with a really catchy little single and they get picked up by a label or something, and people are like, oh, well, they got lucky. And it's like, no, they wrote a great song at the time when the marketplace demanded it. They were in demand, therefore they got the deal. Right. It was there a little bit of luck and maybe that song getting heard by the right person? Yeah. But they still took action and created something of substance. I think it's important for people to remember that that's the only way anything happens. And that's why I said that earlier. You might catch a break. You might get it in the right hands quicker than somebody else does. Fine. But creating something of substance is the first step in anything. You can't make it with nothing.
No. But yeah, I mean, even in our business, we're trying to, we just rolled on a new person this week, a new manager. She's going to be handling some stuff. But I mean, it's the same time, like, we were thinking about it. We're like, how about we just start after the new year, like January 1st? And then it came down to like, why would we hire after the new year? Why not now? You know what I mean? What's the difference, right? What is the difference a new year is going to make, right? Every day I wake up, it's a new day, new day, new me. So there's always opportunity tomorrow. There's always opportunity today. There's always, I'm not looking in the rear view mirror. I'm looking ahead, right? I can learn from the rear view mirror, but I got to be looking ahead. And that's so true. I just listened to a bunch of podcasts that kind of maintain that flow for me. I put something out on Instagram too. It's just like, I'm not going to wait. And the reason why I'm not going to wait is because like what I'm putting in my mind on a daily basis, right? I'm just trying to learn. I'm trying to lead better. And so and that's why we're bringing on a new resource, right? We're trying to learn. We're trying to, make the best decisions for my family, my business, anything I do, right? I want to make quality decision moving forward. I want to be around the right people. I was even thinking this morning, I'm like, man, I want my healthiest and wealthiest. Like probably this year was one of my healthier and wealthier years, right? I mean, we accelerated. I think we grew one of our businesses 400%. We grew another one of the businesses almost. I think it was about 300 or 400% as well. So two of them pretty accelerated. But I was like, look, I need a little more capacity in one area than the other. So I said, I got to bring somebody on, which obviously I'm not going to, hopefully she 10Xs herself, right? But that's going to be me putting value into her, allowing, empowering her to grow. So we did that, and it's obviously a risk. People are a risk, but you got to get good people, right? You got to hire within your core values. So we did that in order to grow even more in one area, but where I don't have to, like, doesn't take up the capacity of my time. Like I can focus on raising capital, and that's what the focus is going to be. Like literally yesterday going forward, when we rolled her on, my focus is just empowering her to grow. I have one of my marketing manager training her on things right now. And then, I'm going to hop back in a little bit later in the day, but that's going to increase my capacity 3 months down the road. And I always look at 90-day intervals. Like I got to be committed to her for 90 days, right? 90 days of really getting her in the ebbs and flows of what we're going to do. Because we're incorporating, a new PPC campaigns and other things that we're already building into our business model to allow us to grow to new heights in 2021. But we're starting that. Like we started the dialogue yesterday, or actually late last week, to get that ball rolling, to get that ball in motion, so that we're already planning and we're executing by Q1 of next year. Because you start planning in Q1, well, then Q2 rolls around, and that's when you're going to see probably the fruits, right? I want to start planning beforehand. I want to plan in 2020 so that I can see the fruits in 2021. So yeah, that's what mainly, we're working on, but we're not waiting till the New Year's, right? I'm not waiting till the New Year's. I know everyone else is either. We're getting into, I just got into another, just a kind of a spiritual element, kind of reshaping my mind, and I'm going to be around a group of guys starting this month, not next month, this month. So yeah, there's some things I got to say no to, but I'm like saying a lot to like, hey, what am I going to do today that's going to impact tomorrow? It's so important to make those decisions, obviously now for the better. And then you'll see the fruits in Q1 and Q2. But our operation is 90-day intervals, right? What are we going to make decisions today that's going to impact us potentially 90 days from now? Some things do happen a little before that, but we want to get that that ball in motion. So that's what we're doing now today. I'm super excited about 2021. It's going to be a great year, kind of rolling into what new opportunities are gonna come about. And sitting down and reflecting, like we're thinking about from an element of from real estate, what is it that we're going to target, that we think that there's maybe some opportunities. And honestly, we're going to be looking at hotels, repositioning hotels in 2021. Hotels have been impacted by COVID. We're going to see a lot go up for sale at lower than normal cap rates, right? Usually you can buy those things at cap rates, pretty high caps, but they also produce a decent amount as far as overall revenue, because it's churning, but there's a lot more labor in a hotel. I'm in the multifamily space. We think we can purchase those discounts at a pretty favorable cap rate, and actually go in there, put significant value add in that, and actually scale our multifamily business from that. So we're going to have to raise a lot of capital, a lot more capital than we're maybe in a traditional syndication. Because right now we're
dollars out, people, get your dollars out.
So we're getting into, like, we close on 167 unit. I'm going to be an LPGP and that one, but we're closing on that one, and that's a direct reposition. So it's it's an already cash flowing asset, about close to about 85-90% stabilized, 87% stabilized. We're going in, putting about $6,000 per door, putting a new facade. So there's a decent amount of CapEx. That was a loan assumption, so we actually had to raise. So we had to raise about $4 million out of that one, amongst all the general partners. So by doing that, though, you're increasing the value of the asset long term. So we had to raise, a good chunk. You had to raise the separation and what the loan assumption was based on the purchase price. Purchasing that one about 7.5 cap. That one market rate's about 6.5 cap. We'll be able to force that up, and we'll actually think going into 2021, we think market caps are going to suppress a little bit, and this is the reason why, right? The reason why we think market rates are going to suppress a little bit is there's subprimes are going high right now. So on the foreclosure side, we're going to see a lot of foreclosures next year. 100%. It is without a doubt. There's going to be a lot of foreclosures. So that's predictive. Predictive analysis shows that, hey, there's going to be a lot of foreclosures coming up. in 2021. Reason being is because a lot of people that have defaulted on their mortgage already, that kind of got early on, stopped paying their mortgage. They thought though maybe it was going to be forgiven or whatever they thought, but they stopped paying on their mortgage. There's over 4 million people in the United States right now that are over 6 months plus behind their mortgage. It's not a good thing. So that means to tell me there's going to be a lot of foreclosures coming up because banks are going to default, foreclose, and actually take back that asset. So we're fully expecting that. Where are those people going to go, right? They're going to go into a rental scenario. So there's not a lot of people are not going to be buying another house once they just foreclosed on a house. They're going to go back into a rental scenario. They're probably going to be there for 2-3 years, if not even a little bit longer, So when you do that, right, or when you get in a short sale or whatever, you go back to multifamily or you go back to a single family residence. So there's going to be a spike in the rental market coming up, we think, in 2021. Cap rates will probably go down. There's going to be an adjustment though, because there's going to be inflation. Then interest rates might rise, but those two might level out each other. So that's why we're going to still be hyper focused in the multifamily space. We think it's hedged, it's protected. We're not getting into Class A assets. We're getting into BC assets. So we're not waiting until New Year's. We want to start that marketing effort right now. We're taking a look at things. We're getting that dialogue going. And so we think, some significant opportunities is going to be on the rise. But, right before Christmas, right, myself and other general partners in that mix, Four Oaks Capital, they're great partners of mine, which they're leads on this one. So I'm a smaller piece of the general partnership, but still an active role. And that's it, right? We're 167 units we're taking down. I'm going to be a part of. We're dispositioning. We're selling an asset, right? Right before Christmas. So I'm selling one, taking down another in Georgia. So there's a lot of activity going on, but the fact of the matter is, like, there's no time better than now. Don't wait. There's opportunities out there, and that's reap those harvests, plant those seeds. I think Tim Bratz had put something the other day, put a really, really, really good outlook on kind of like business in general, but that 3-year growth plan of, you start out by planting those seeds, right? Year 2, you're watering those seeds. And then year 3, you're reaping that harvest, right? So
that's where I am too with all of this. I mean, it's interesting you say that. About a little over 2 years ago, I changed my entire lifestyle, changed my entire environment, people I was around, and going into 2021, it's a completely different outlook. I'm doing better around people like yourself who are growth minded, who are looking to the future. We talked yesterday about what our plans are for, launching a group and a community. And I mean, we've had that built, but like, we've been busy. We haven't really been pushing you guys hard on sales because we're way more focused on having a great show and having a great time and growing than we are trying to sell you on a group that will sell you on itself anyway. When you're good and you're confident that you can back it up, everything else falls into place anyway. And so I think that is an important thing. Is it takes time, but when you put out the effort and you get confident and you get solid, you become, transparent, within the marketplace, respected, people know who you are. And then you start to, like you said, you water those seeds and, stuff starts to pop up. So think about that also in your lives. I mean, over the next 20 days, you're going to see a lot of people around you. Lollygagging is the term. My dad was our soccer coach when we were kids. And if like middle of the second half, we'd start getting tired and he'd yell at us from the sidelines and tell us to quit lollygagging, which is pretty much a term for half-assing it.
Yeah.
You're half-assing it. You're not putting 100% effort in. You're lollygagging. Step up the hustle. And we're going to see that over the next 20 days. You'll notice that people's production levels can dip and drop, and they're like, oh, it's the holidays. I'm not going to eat well. I'm going to skip my workouts. And it's like, this is always the time where I turn on the afterburners. Always have, especially even back in the day, because, being a performer and a live musician and stuff, everybody's out spending money through November and December. So I always was doubling down on gigs more and more and more and more. I could be out in the marketplace. I was out in the marketplace. And so it's important to think about that. Whatever the category is that you're trying to work on in your life, now's the time to double down, because it's going to give you a competitive advantage when you get into next year with yourself, like you said. But also
100%.
the marketplace is undeniably competitive. Everybody's trying to make it. So many people are launching businesses from home. And the more you focus on how am I hitting my bottom lines and how am I growing, the better off you're going to be. Because lack of focus right now, especially with this uncontrollable pandemic situation that we're in and all of this kind of stuff, new rules are going to be put into place in 2021. You got people locking down. You got to be prepared to make the shift. And digital, I've been saying this for a long time, digital's where it's all going. I remember I was making ads and stuff for people, and then I would go and I would play happy hour at the music venue when I lived in California, and people would be like, man, those videos you make are funny, but you're wasting your time. And I'm like, no, because actually 5 years from now, that's where the marketplace is going to be. It's all going to be video. It's all going to be monetizing online. And those same venues, hate to say it, but they're shut down now. They're out of business. So I knew that was going to happen some way or another. I didn't know exactly what the circumstances were going to be, but I'm like, you cannot possibly rely on these establishments to support your dream. You've got to create your own monetization methods digitally and reach the people direct. And that's what we've found here today too. And even with investing, good old 10X Grant Cardone has reached an investment level where he's able to hit people direct. Tim Bratz uses that method too. He posts his deals, or if you have a deal, you can come to him online and directly invest in profitable real estate.
That's right.
And so I think that's an important thing for people to think about over the next 20 days. How am I going to use this phone in my hand that I already pay for to benefit me in my success? Because that's where the market is. It's right there in the palm of your hand now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Couldn't agree more. But yeah, it's make that 3-year outlook, but start committing at 3-year. No better time to start today. Whatever that action is. I think it's cool though, because you determine your own definition of success, right? I always have that problem. Social media, we talked about it, kind of that social reaction of like scrolling and like the comparison game. But compete against yourself, right? And I found that what was extremely valuable to me is sacrifice. And we don't typically what is sacrifice? And I'm not going to lie to you. I do things on a daily basis. I sacrifice things for the purposes of complete discomfort. And, one of the things, and it sucks, cold showers being one of them. It's, I take cold showers because I want to hop in there and be uncomfortable. I do it from a scientific standpoint where I can shock the body as well. And it was cold as all get out this morning. But it's one of those things where those things layer up, right? When you determine hey, am I going to eat that dessert, or maybe am I going to eat one bite of the dessert? You know what I mean? It's like on holiday season, we choose to drink. Am I just going to have one glass of wine, or am I going to have 4 glasses of wine? Those are still definitions of success, right? We have to celebrate those little successes along the way. And get to a level of discomfort where, actually, I'm only going to have one, or if I'm only going to have, half of the pie. So it's one of those things where it just, you really, those are small, and compete against yourself. I love competing against myself. I try not to compete against others, although I see my mind strain sometimes, but compete against yourself and really, you'll see that stride. Now, every day, why not start today, right? If you see kind of, man, I'm struggling in this area, well, why not? What's the one decision we can make today? That one thought that we can make today that is going to ultimately take that pivot and make that one small direction happen today. You got to wait till 1-1. 1-1's
takes 1% shift in your to completely change your trajectory. If you're
That's
like,
right.
oh man, some people said this to me the other day. I was on a group call. I have a virtual group. We do calls every week too. And they were like, man, I keep running into a wall with this effort. And I'm like, dude, you got to
Yeah.
shift like 1%, 2%, and boom. Now all of a sudden you're in a completely different trajectory. You're in a completely different lane. You just need a lane change. You might be on the right highway. You're like, well, this is where I need to go. But why is it not working? Sometimes you got to change lanes. You got to slow it down. You got to speed it up in certain areas. You got to pass people and leave them in the dust. That's something that's hard for people. If there are people around you that are dragging you down and there's people around you that are distracting you from the goals, you need to either just have a conversation with them about it. Listen, here's my goals. Here's what I'm doing every day to get to those goals. And I'm starting every morning at this time to try and knock it out. And I can't be distracted.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're going to realize that some people's style doesn't mix with yours. Doesn't mean
You know
you can't.
what I thought that just as like before we sign off, just as a little tweak that I thought was pretty incredible. And I know I'm not the only one that would struggle with something like this, but I eat really fast. So like I'm usually in a go or I'm looking down at my phone. I listen to this guy called Jim Quick. So Jim Quick, he basically is like he's
him. He's good.
He's like kind of a mind solution guy where you can learn a little bit faster. But one of the things that was talked about on his podcast this week was eating slower and utilizing eating as like a therapeutic exercise or like therapy, right? And so really enjoying your food when you're eating it. And by doing that, it's chewing as much as possible before you swallow. And the one thing that I found out, I enjoy food a lot more when I eat slower. And I was like a fast eater. I would just like dive into food. But like if you have they call it the anxious gut, and gut health is so important to brain health. And to basically decrease a level of anxiety is that you would just chew like 4 or 5 times more than you normally do to eat at a slower pace. Don't look at your phone. Don't do anything while you're eating. Really enjoy the intake of what you're choosing to eat and make it more like therapeutic, where you chew, you actually fill up, and then you're just enjoying your food. You'll then see over time, I've seen in like 2 or 3 days how that's impacted me. Chewing slower, eating slower has definitely decreased an anxiety level of like, I'm always in a hurry, right? Put down my phone and just purely focus on actually what I'm eating. Thought that was huge. That was a takeaway. That was like a small little pivot because I'm like, man, like, why am I so anxious? Oh man, I listened to this podcast. Like, this really helps. So food is such an important piece of life. Sleep is an important piece of life. And if you can utilize them correctly, right? It can do amazing things. So anyways, something that I learned this week, and tag Jim Quick in this if you once you post this, Pat.
Jimmy.
Cool.
I will.
All right,
guys, ladies and gentlemen, hit it up, hit it hard this week. And remember, like the holidays, enjoy that time. Do whatever you got to do, but hold yourself accountable. Sometimes, and myself in the past too, drinking too much or eating too much or taking days off of working out or slacking on this or getting behind on that, or I'll worry about it next year, dude. It's not going to, all of that stuff piles up. So you can either have a pile of momentum or a pile of procrastination. You got to pick one. So the season, what was it? The seasonal what?
Separation season. That's what I had.
Separation season. Separate yourself. All right, man. Well, we love you guys. Subscribe. Get all the replays and all the clips on Instagram. Make sure to subscribe to Matt's app.